50,000 customers. So sorry, but you have to close. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Fervent 4. Did you know that only 4% of businesses ever cross the annual $1 million revenue mark? What's up? I'm Zack Miller, author of Anomaly. With me today, I have my co-host, Tim Ryan, lead man at startwheel.org. Thanks so much for joining us. The Fervent 4 is a weekly show every Thursday at 11 a.m. dedicated to sharing insights into growing a world-class business, no matter the climate. The Fervent 4 is powered by the SBDC, which helps local small businesses grow through counseling and resources like this show. If you're interested in learning more on how the SBDC can help your business, head to startwheel.org/weekly. Back in Q2 of this year, Candice Gallmeyer had to do just that. Lock the doors to Escape Room Virginia's 2 locations and just wait. What's up, folks?
Hey. Good morning.
Good morning.
So do you remember the exact day that mandate happened? Because I mean, I think
like a big, tough question.
Mid-March was like when people started really freaking out, right?
Yep,
And
I want to say it was like March 25th
So it was
or something.
It was pretty quick into that had to happen.
Yeah.
Did you all wait until the governor ordered, or did you?
We did.
Okay.
We did. We took precautions, of course, beforehand. We had always had mountains of hand sanitizer available for customers because, you're in an environment where you're touching everything. And, we provided that for customers even beforehand, but we still, we had that going and we enforced that a little bit strongly. And we were a little bit more precautious about having people in our lobby with other guests. So we started spacing rooms out at that point. And so we figured, we can do that. We can survive this. Like, we can make minor pivots and adjustments in order to make this work.
So you guys had like those 2-gallon jug things of hand sanitizer, just like.
Oh yeah. And we even ordered toilet paper way in advance.
I know. So what is an escape room for someone that's listening that has no idea what exactly an escape room is?
So an escape room is more that scary or less scary than it is a team building experience. It's where you enter into a room with up to 8 people, sometimes more in other areas. And you work on puzzles, riddles, observations in order to solve or reach a major goal. So it's either to escape the room or to find your missing essay or to find the trident that belongs to King Neptune. So it's all about working together and thinking a little bit outside the box while you're inside the box.
The missing essay, is that like a legit, like that's what they're going after? Or is that like what?
Yeah, we have Escape Room University. That's our dorm room. You walk in and it looks exactly like a dorm room. I even am tempted to sleep in that bunk bed at some points. But you are after your missing essay because a classmate of yours has stolen it and is going to use it as their own.
Mm-hmm. Who comes up with the different mysteries to solve?
We all do. There's a team effort involved. There's me and my creative director, Megan. She is a fantastic creative mind. She's a writer. She's also into programming. So she's also heavily involved a lot with the clue system and, what we are, displaying to customers as a storyline. So she's wonderful. But all of our clues we invent completely on our own. There are escape room companies that purchase clues or, they hire escape room builders to come out and build their rooms for them. They can buy prepackaged themes. There's like a lot of the like escape the elevator theme or the like escape the underground bunker kind of theme. But we have invented all of our clues from scratch, and we use our clientele to kind of inform what clues are working, what's not, what do people like, what are people really delighted by. So that's kind of how we build our rooms from zero.
Very interesting. And if I recall, the Virginia Beach location was moving from their original location to a new location somewhat down the street to start how that was early this year as well, right?
Right. We opened our doors in late 2019 and started fresh. And it was really an awesome time to kind of start all of the rooms from scratch again, and kind of reimagine them. And we were like so excited to do that, and that was kind of this like whole build out and very busy time, and then to be told that we had to shut our doors, it was awful. But yeah.
So did you guys ever have the ribbon cutting? I can't remember, because I remember when I went there, you guys hadn't. I don't think I'd gone there for a startup night in early January, maybe like, well, whatever the second or third Thursday of January was. Tim was there as well, and you guys were talking about having the mayor come and do the ribbon cutting and stuff like that. Had that happened?
Yeah, I think we did the ribbon cutting a week after that event.
Okay, so you did get that in. You did open the doors.
Yeah.
And then within 60 days of that, boom goes the dynamite, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Because at that startup night, we were talking about how viral everything went from your Facebook presence, and because you have a crazy amount of following on your social media.
Right.
We do. Yeah. And that's kind of how this all started. Xerxes Nabung, it's a friend of yours and mine. He put this post out that just, asked the public basically, like, if I opened an escape room, would you guys come? And basically all of his friends were like, yes, please do it. We would love to have that in this area. And that was the first in Virginia Beach. And since then, there have been other escape room companies kind of propping up, and some of them have only one room. Some of them only have like 2 or 3. Basically, that kind of went wild. And so we used that following and, that audience to, maintain a presence during this COVID period, when we were closed. So, we kind of acted as, digitally, we tried to provide puzzles, on Facebook and help people to still kind of have some moments of fun and puzzlery online. So.
And I've seen some of those puzzles myself, and I sit there and I go, I don't know the answer to that, so I'm not commenting. Hey, you know what? Sometimes there's a puzzle to that equation as well that who knows what it is. Baby crying. I don't know what the answer is.
That is my roommate's cat, and she is relentless. She's relentlessly awful. I can't.
Hey, you can't hate the cat. What color is the cat?
She's a Siamese. They're notorious for being very loud, apparently.
Well, you know what? It's fine. I'm not going. I'm an animal lover. If a Siamese cat wants to take over the show, that's fine with me. Tim, do you have fun with it?
No, I think it's great watching the reactions from everybody.
the audio production crew right now that we're all looking at, they're like in our ears going, I can't believe this. Get that right. But there is no audio production.
Get that cat out of here.
Get that cat out of here. Cut this up. Hey,
this is not the first,
in color.
Yeah. It's not the first call that she's interrupted, and it won't be the last.
There you go. So the puzzles were your version of keeping things alive, keeping things fresh, giving people some sort of sanity over a period of time that at the time you had no idea what the time frame was going to be, because no one knew if this was going to be a week thing, a week's thing, a month thing, a month's thing, a year thing, which is probably where we're heading now. So that was your brainchild.
Yep. Just to give something, give people something to do while they're all stuck at home. And we started a little Instagram game show that, it's hilarious. It's every Thursday. It's probably live now, but you can guess what these distorted images are, and basically win a chance to get a discount code for a free escape room. So just giving something, other than the dreary, relentless newsfeed that we typically were getting. So, but that was wonderful. We had a lot of response from that, and still people are coming in and asking questions and wanting to experience something, escape from this experience that we're all having.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of a fun. It's interesting that our business model is all based on this escape theory, and like, that's exactly what everybody kind of wants to do from all of this. So I'm so glad that we're happy to provide that kind of experience where people are still isolated. They're in their little social bubbles, and they can come in with their families or the friends that they've chosen to have in their little social bubbles, and really just enter into a different environment and kind of get lost in it. People often come into the King Neptune room, and they're like, I feel I'm underwater right now. I feel like I'm underwater, and they get very into it, and just kind of get away from reality for a little while.
Take us through the whole process. What you said you closed late March. When were you able to reopen?
So we were able to reopen. I want to say it was, let's see, it was around the June timeframe. And that was just the beginning of phase 3, whenever phase 3 began. So phase 3 allowed for groups of up to 50. And we said, okay, that's quite a bit, but, we'll maintain our 10-person maximum, absolute maximum, in our lobby and with our staff. And we'll just try to abide by whatever rules are the safest. And we've been doing that ever since.
So 50, was it 50 from a capacity standpoint? How did you guys decide? Because you guys were not every business obviously was closed immediately. You guys were one of those businesses that was forced to shut down, I guess, right? And then were you in a phase that said, hey, phase 3 is when you guys were allowed to open? Or could you, okay. And then was that because of a capacity issue? How did you guys decide that was
just entertainment, the entertainment industry, basically theaters, movie theaters, all of those, we're lumped in together in phase 3. Any recreational environment, that was part of phase 3 as well. Governor Northam actually explicitly called out escape rooms, and I was like, oh wow, like it's people don't really understand us as an industry sometimes. Like they don't know what to refer to us as. So
escape rooms on the map. There you go.
Yeah. I was really shocked by that, but just glad to be able to be open again and doing what we can.
So what are the types of questions that people are asking you these days that you get more than ever that you weren't getting before?
Can we walk in? Can we just walk in? Or do we need to wear gloves? Obviously, do we need to wear masks? Which the answer is yes. In the lobby, we allow you to take the mask off once you get into the room and you're with your own people. Are you disinfecting in between? Which the answer is yes. And yeah, that's about it. And people seem to really, I think they understand that, and they're holding businesses accountable to be safe. And so when they come in and they see that we have, we do keep everything very clean. We keep everything very disinfected. When you come into the lobby and you can smell that it's been recently disinfected, like that's kind of these things that help people to feel a little bit more comfortable. So, they understand that we're doing everything that we can to make sure that everybody is as safe as possible.
Now, the walk-ins, that's a no or a yes?
The walk-ins is a no. Okay. When we do get the occasional walk-in, if we're not busy, if there's nothing going on, if there's nobody in the building, let's say like on a Tuesday mid-afternoon, of course we'll let you play, of course. But during this time, while we are moderating the amount of people in our lobby and we're trying to make sure that we are in absolute control of everybody who's in the building, we are not really cool with walk-ins right now.
I know, but the walk-in business side of it is something that historically had been something that was very unique, where everything had to be basically by appointment. and scheduled beforehand, which is what appointments would mean, Zach. Don't be an idiot. But that was something that's very unique where people couldn't walk in like you could to a bowling alley and say, hey, I'm ready to be here. Hey, I'm going to go to the movie theater like this.
Yeah.
But it was appointment based. And that's something that's also, at least from before, it was cashless. So there was a lot less transactions that could go on during there and things like that. I think that appointment-based experience is something that's valuable and unique. Is that something that you think will continue moving forward like that?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think, having people view this as a business that is a complete experience and kind of separate from everything that you've ever done before, keeping it appointment-based kind of is in line with that. Making sure that everybody is, ready and arriving at a certain time, arriving present, arriving ready to kind of be wowed or delighted or enter into something that they have never been familiar with. So, when you go to a doctor's office, it's a whole experience. Like there's protocol. So, I think people are really enjoying the fact that things are very controlled. Because so much feels out of control. And so to know that some business owners are really controlling the environment strictly, that's helping people a lot.
How much of your, how many, in terms of the customer breakdown, I'm curious about, how many are tourists versus how many are local residents, and with going to an appointment only, how do you connect with the tourists to increase your business?
Sure. So with that, increasing our digital presence to, be a little bit more louder about how we are requiring reservations beforehand. We've always been reservation based. It's understood that you're in this space for an hour time frame. So obviously there's a schedule there with that. And so I think a lot of people, if they do walk in, we handle that accordingly. There's a sign on our door, so usually they don't even enter into the lobby. They kind of walk out back into the parking lot and call and try to make a reservation over the phone, which is fine. But we do have a good tourist population. It's about 15%, and in the summer a little bit better than that. When people do see any literature with us in it, in the Sunny Day Guide, the Virginia Beach Visitors Guide, they usually call because it's a different experience. 99% of the time, they've never been to an escape room before. So they call and they kind of ask these questions like, so what is this? And we're like, well, wait, what does that mean? But we try to answer, we are reservation based. Please come at 15 minutes early so that we can get your waiver signed. And there's a process here. So a lot of people call and they ask, what's this process? And so that's it. It's just a simple 5-minute phone call, and then everybody feels prepared and ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's really important for a lot of the businesses. So for the folks that maybe have not watched this, the Fervent 4 and Zack talked about this in the very beginning, but only 4% of the businesses achieve the $1 million mark in annual revenue and sales. So the goal of the show is to provide people with those tricks and tips to get them to that $1 million mark. And customer engagement is huge, and you all have done a great job leading that charge, certainly from a digital marketing, social media presence. During your 2-month break, how did you take advantage of that time? Did you come up with more scenarios to have things in the can ready to go? How do you determine when you roll out new escapes?
Yeah, we designed 3 brand new rooms that we are still kind of working on tweaking certain parts of the puzzles. So they're not ready to be unveiled to the public yet. But the rooms have been completely reconstructed. Before COVID, we had kind of like the bare bones of those rooms. And we were planning on, as revenue was coming in, working on one at a time and unveiling one room at a time. But we actually got about like 85% with like the remaining rooms. So now, as we focus on having customers back in the building, we're kind of slowly building those back up to 100% and letting them be ready for the public. It's an extremely detailed process coming up with these rooms and the puzzles for them. Usually starts with a big word map of like what we want in the room or the theme, and the story kind of develops from there. And dependent on the kind of clues that we come up with, that sometimes informs the story, and then sometimes the story informs the clues. So it's very symbiotic in that way, but it's a very detail-oriented process. There's multiple people involved. I had a team of people come in who weren't eligible for unemployment, because all of our employees basically, I had to let them go so that they could collect that. And, I wanted to provide opportunities for people who couldn't. So they came in, and everybody came in every day prepared to do whatever it took. Oh, I have to drill holes in all of these books today. Cool. Or I have to come up with a way that dominoes can spell a word. So things like that. And so that was really fun to come up with those like little challenges for people, and to give a really awesome, summer job to a handful of really awesome people.
An overwhelming amount of businesses say that social media is the way for them to acquire new customers, to get people into the doors online or off, depending on the type of business. But I believe that you guys with Escape Room have actually been able to use social media to your advantage. Why, as someone who understands the digital world like you do, Candice, why do you think escape rooms are actually getting the engagement, the sharing effect that you guys are, where so many other companies who want social media to do what you guys have been able to do just can't see any types of engagement whatsoever?
I think because we're providing engaging content. We're providing content that people want to reach out and message back and provide an answer to a riddle or a trivia question. We're giving something people can do from home and be successful at. So people love succeeding. I mean, the amount of times that I am in the game master control room and I overhear one of the groups shouting, and there's always somebody, and it's usually mom saying, "I told you so. I told you." So people love being right, and they love figuring things out, and they love knowing that their brains are made for more than just spreadsheets and information that they do in their day-to-day job. So people love figuring out, Sudoku puzzles or things like that. But sometimes it's as easy as scrolling and catching something that, makes you think a little bit outside of the box, and allows you to have that experience of like, oh yeah, I know that one. And so that's success. Making people feel like they're succeeding at something, however small it is really effective for people.
How do you determine when you retire a scenario? Is it based on the amount of time or the number of people that go through? Who makes that call?
It's probably the number of people that go through. However, I will say that having different scenarios available for people is something that allows us to have these rooms for extended periods of time, years, because the amount of people that we are able to serve is so vast. We've barely kind of touched the surface with Virginia Beach, even though we've been open for 5 years and we've been extremely successful since the very beginning. We still have different opportunities for people to enter into a different story. So that's something that, maybe another 5 years with King Neptune. And I think, I don't know. People still really like it. Some people play twice.
Oh, because they didn't get through, or they just want to see if they can do it faster?
Yeah, they want.
You know how to do it. I mean,
yeah.
So what's something in the last 6 months or so that you've learned about yourself that you never thought you would have learned?
Oh boy.
I mean, it could be like, the mysterious pictures that you decide the murals that you decide to put on the wall on a random day, or what?
I think what I've learned most about myself is that creativity is extremely rewarding for me. Having that environment where I was able to lead a team of people to come up with these different room themes that we were building was extremely rewarding. I mean, it was a lot of, like playing whack-a-mole with different problems. And that kind of environment, I guess, is something that I thrive in. But most of all, ensuring that everybody's kind of feeling like they're part of a team was something that I focused on, and making sure that everybody kind of felt like they had their own, duties and own responsibilities and own things that they excelled at, and that were kind of like their department. I kind of created a team where everybody was their own department head, and making sure that everybody on our team was working together, much like it really mirrored an experience inside of an escape room during that time, because everything was day to day, coming up with new problems, solving new problems, rather. Sometimes we would make our own problems, but kind of coming up with solutions to things as they present themselves. And that's idyllic to what you would experience in an escape room.
So one of the things I'm just sitting here listening to this, and it's fascinating in the sense that it requires such creativity and the creative side to do the things that you all are doing. But at the same time, I really see that there's a lot of need for very data analytical type of decisions that need to be made. Yeah. So what type of, do you have that diversity on your team, or do you just surround yourself with a bunch of creatives, have fun, and just let things roll?
Definitely. So as I said before, I have Megan, my creative director. She's got like both sides of the brain on fire, just super, super creative, but also very data driven. And she helps us with a lot of the tech in our rooms, kind of understanding that. And, I as well, I love to know how things work, so I try to figure that out. We have a remote team now full of creative engineers that are working on a lot of the more tech-driven puzzles. And they are just a bunch of, it's the Big Bang Theory when you get them all in the same room. It's really amazing. And they, have their own set of skills, whether that be building or programming or what have you. So that I work closely with them now too. And then we have our game masters, who are there to just provide like a positive experience for people and provide clues where needed and make sure that people are having a good time. So, that surrounding yourself with the right people is incredibly important for this.
It's interesting that you say that, because the way that I met you was through a networking event, and I believe that you were with a different company at that point, but you were surrounding yourself with people who were important to you. You left that company, now you're with Escape Room Virginia. Talk me through like how you network to better others, to better you, but then to at some point go in for an ask, like you were with this, where it was, hey, there's this opportunity here. Now I'm going to jump on that. Like how did Candice Gallmeyer figure out the networking from one company to get you to the place that you are now?
I think a lot of people see networking as an opportunity for you to be the face of your business. And sometimes when we kind of embody our companies, we kind of skirt our personality to the side, or we skirt our personal lives to the side, and we act as just this like embodiment of the business that we work for, which in a lot of ways can work. In ways with me, sometimes it just doesn't work that way. And I'd rather get to know people for the people that they are and for what other types of dimensions they have. Nobody is one-dimensional. And when you are trying to portray being the face of a business, it can be very one-dimensional. So I like to get to know people for their other types of interests, other things that they're good at. The guy who works at the car dealership down the street is probably, maybe he's a fantastic painter and he wants to also paint. And not knowing that is the divide between that's the the inexistent bridge between one person's situation and another opportunity. So being able to understand people for who they are outside of the one thing that they do can help them to understand what they're going to be good at later on in the future and what that next step is, I think.
So I have to ask, is there any scenarios that evolve around international spies for pharmaceutical companies?
Oh, you've done your digging. No, I I did provide that as a little quirk about me. No, there are currently not in that way. There are FBI agents in a scenario where you're tracking down an art
A spy
forger.
wouldn't give that information out, Tim. Let's be honest. I can tell she's lying.
Old spies can tell their secrets as long as they're not spies anymore. I think that's the rule, right?
I wouldn't know.
I don't know.
So you were a spy? Is that?
Yeah, that was an interesting. Oh God, it feels like a past life, but that was an interesting time in my life where I was working for a pharmaceutical consulting firm, and basically what I had to do was, I was tasked to go to Switzerland to go to a medical conference where I had to collect information, basically take pictures of each slide of every presentation by these doctors who were doing their own studies, and basically collect that information in order to sell it to the major pharmaceutical firms, Bayer, Merck, Pfizer, whoever would buy it. So yeah, I was collecting intelligence in order to sell it. Corporate espionage.
She was made for this industry.
So I love to look at jobs like from years past, from decades past, and try to see if there's things that I learned in those experiences. So is there something in that job or something from the Switzerland pharmaceutical spying convention, I think is what I gathered out of that. Is there something out of that, or like a job that you at the time thought was ridiculously stupid, but you actually, now later in life look at it and you're like, oh, that was a big learning experience. That was important.
Yeah, never give the first never give the first number when negotiating your salary.
What do you mean by that? Never give the first number. What do you mean?
It's funny. On that trip, I actually, my coworker shared his salary with me, and I was very upset about it.
Because he made more than you?
I lowballed in the interview and threw out a number that I thought I was comfortable with. And turns out, yeah, sure, I was comfortable, but I would have been more comfortable in Mercedes like he was.
So it's interesting with that. Like, why do you think that at the time you would throw out a salary that wasn't comparable to others? Because the salary thing is an interesting thing in the world where I think some people just want to make sure they get the job, but then they'll get the job and it's tens of thousands of dollars less than they probably could have gotten. Why do you think that you would go after such a small number at that point and not really do your kind of due diligence and research to figure out what I think you probably thought you were worth more, but you really wanted that job. So why didn't you go after more?
I was fairly young at the time. I was a new graphic designer. I just graduated, and I looked at Glassdoor on average salaries, and I think I kind of undervalued myself based on my experience. However, I was doing the work just fine, and the company was worth a little bit more than what I thought. And so, yeah, I think I just didn't really. I was afraid to ask for more because I didn't want to be laughed at. I did not want to be considered if you market yourself at a certain dollar amount, and then maybe you underperform, or you don't, you're not the right fit the way that you thought you were, then you're kind of selling bad goods, I guess, is what I would term that. But I don't know why at the time I thought that $30,000 was enough to put ramen on the table, but
So
I
what
guess it was.
changed? What changed in you to have more confidence in yourself, to then, when you were in a different situation, to ask for more than just ramen, I guess?
I think I really started to come to terms with what I was good at and what I was not good at. And I found that I was going after jobs that required me to, um, I guess, push myself in directions that I didn't necessarily want to go ultimately in my career. And I moved away from a lot of the graphic design lackey jobs that you can find when you have a graphic design degree. You know, it there's always the graphic design girl or the graphic design guy that just makes the things real quick for everybody, and is kind of like a robot in that way. So I moved from feeling like those jobs were right for me to more of a more vocal position, and having more of a voice and having more of a say in creative responsibilities and creative decision making. So that kind of changed. That kind of put me at another level, I guess. Put me a little bit higher on, in my career, and I started looking for things that I actually wanted to do instead of things that I was just capable of doing.
Very interesting. Going back to what Zack was talking about learning from previous jobs and going back to your international spy days. Yeah, so essentially you've really you've shifted. You were the hunter, and now as leading the charge from the escape room standpoint, you've become the hunted. So how do you deal with other escape rooms going in and potentially taking the things that you're doing? I mean, you had talked about before we went live about now there is the escape room as opposed to. So how do you stay ahead? How do you stay ahead of all that? And what's your feelings on people that go in and just try to copycat?
Well, I think if you focus on the competition, then you're not really focusing on yourself as much as you should. So I think really just maintaining our experience, maintaining the fact that we want people to come in to have fun and to have nice things to say about us later. That's what we're focused on, and we don't really. We were the first in the area, which is a lot to say. There are other escape rooms that have less rooms and focus more on their puzzles and are actually really wonderful, and we're friends with them. So the competition is friendly, and if it's not, then I'm not concerned.
What's something during COVID that you thought would happen but really hasn't happened yet?
Yeah, I think
Business or regular business, personal, the world in general.
I really thought that automation might be more prevalent. I think my nerdy desire would be for everything to suddenly turn into the Jetsons. I think that just being able to automate putting food on the table, or like stirring my coffee in the morning, would be wonderful. Just having things a little bit more isolated, because I think people have a strong desire to connect with other people, but man, there's nothing like being home and just having food arrive to the front door and TV to watch. just wonderful.
I've said since the beginning of this that when we look back at COVID years from now, we'll look at this and say it was an acceleration of the bell curve of things that were already kind of there, that were going to get moved over,
Absolutely.
that are already that are just pushing people quicker. Like there are people who I know that are like, I'll never do a Zoom conference call. That's like all they do now.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, where have you been? This thing isn't like new. Like Zoom has been around forever. But for so many people, I remember for like that first month, people were like, I'll train you how to do a Zoom call. It's like, what is there to train? Like this is like, it's just press record or just show up and say hello.
Yeah.
But there is that. And I think some people probably have made careers out of doing that over the last 6 months or so. But I think us being younger and more tech focused and around technology more, we forget about some of that stuff sometimes and realize that, hey, the Jetsons is a lot further away. I mean, heck, we still don't even have hoverboards from the 1986 film Back to the Future 2. I mean,
not fair.
WTF. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like we need to have that. We need those hoverboards.
My childhood sold me a future that is not here, and I'm upset.
It's ridiculous. I mean, Bill and Ted's coming back out. I mean, what in the world? Like,
yeah. I think, I mean, we're moving in that direction. And I think that, even in just the past 100 years, if you were to look at the technology that we were using then and now, we would be pretty impressed. So yeah, that is kind of rapidly ramping up. But I think we're on our way to kind of isolating a lot of things that are, I guess, preventing this type of emergency in the future. Keeping things a little bit more isolated, maybe letting people work from home a little bit more, understanding that maybe people are more productive at home than they are in the office, and that you don't need to pay all that rent for that space. For us, we absolutely need a space, in order to provide an experience. So maybe moving things away from, when you venture out into the world, it's office building after office building after office building. Maybe we're keeping only the essential experiences out there. I'm not sure. Hopefully, we can depave some of our parking lots and put up some trees, I think.
Yeah. From a personal level, anything that you've learned along the last almost 6 months that you're like, you know what, I want to keep this moving forward. I've discovered this, and this is my new way of life.
I think having my hands in a lot of different creative pockets is my jam. And I think that's going to always stay. Spontaneous murals on the wall, spontaneous podcasts that I start and quit in the same week. That's going to be my life. And I think kind of navigating all those endeavors is definitely exciting to me, and having a position with the escape room where I can come up with creative solutions all the time and get paid to do it is definitely going to be pretty rewarding. So
creativity is something that you're born with, yes or no? Okay.
I think everyone's an artist. I say this all the time, and I think everybody is an artist. We have different mediums.
Okay.
Whether it's music or story writing or, the more traditional forms of art, maybe that's what your jam is. But for some people, maybe it's connecting other people or community organizing or, making sure that everybody's taken care of. And that is an art form in itself. That's a lot of herding cats, and there's an art to almost everything that you can do. So I think everyone can flex that creative muscle and work it out to be as strong as they want.
Okay, so that was 249 word answer instead of the word that I was looking for yes or no. Okay, so you say yes is what I think you're saying.
I think
but
I'm
everyone
saying
is creative, but from a the artistic creative side of things, where you're able to think deeper than maybe some others. What are some tips that you would give someone so that they could get more engagement on something that is a little bit more creative instead of just being so stale around something? What would you, if you were to meet someone on the bus, right, when or on the metro or the tide or you're at a ball game or at an escape room, and they said, hey, this is so creative, how could I figure out how to be creative too? what would you tell that individual on how to kind of get the best bang for their buck on creativity?
Search for patterns. Search for things that are repetitive and repetitive for a reason, and find out what that reason is. When you run a business and you're finding that certain customers like a certain thing, take note of that and make sure that you're bringing that same energy into other parts of your business. If you are, finding the same problems over and over again in a pattern, maybe figure out what kind of energy is being given to those things. What are you, in what way is this happening and why? So that sort of thing will help you to recognize what's working and what's not working. If you're just freestyle painting and you do a thing and you're like, hey, I like that thing, and now this painting is just going to be that thing. That's kind of the same way. It's the same thought process.
See, I've learned, listen to you, you're very much more of a free spirit than I am. I am much more data driven
Sure.
in terms of my decision making. So
Yeah.
as a free spirit, a more artistic type of person, I mean, talk to me a little bit about fear of failure.
There's definitely.
Do you experience fear of failure?
Oh, every day, 100%. But that's kind of what drives you. Fear of failing is unavoidable. So you might as well live with it, and you might as well hone in on it and use it for good. Failure is, of course, as we all know from the many self-help books that we've all read, I'm sure, is just an opportunity to learn from that. And you can't really succeed without failing 5 times first. So it doesn't scare me. Failure doesn't really scare me. I failed as a spy, but that's okay because I'm here now.
Where did you fail on that painting behind you, on that mural behind you?
Oh, so this big palm in the middle, I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, it's not the best.
It's not. It's just not. But it's okay because we'll put a neon sign in front of it.
Okay, let's be honest. I thought that was wallpaper or
Really?
Yeah, I was like, wow, that thing is really nice. And then to find out that you just did that freehand, is that?
Yeah.
So how do you get such perfect circles?
You don't paint a perfect.
They're pretty close. I mean,
well, I think maybe perspective is the issue, and maybe looking at something when you're too close up, you notice a lot of imperfections. This is a metaphor for life, by the way. If you're too close to a problem, you're going to notice a lot of imperfections. But when you step back and maybe stand at a distance, maybe you can see a little bit of the bigger picture, and it looks a little bit better from.
That's interesting because I was listening to David Blaine, the world famous magician, recently, and literally 15 minutes of him, and
what is this, 2007? David Blaine.
I think he has a new book or something out. Yeah,
he's got a YouTube special coming out on August 31st.
He's got some new piece of content that's coming out. They go on all these tours where they're on everyone. By the way, if you guys have never realized that, that's a legit thing where if you start to see the same person on a bunch of different media outlets, that's what they're doing. They're going on their press tours. Yeah. So David Blaine has been on his press tour recently, and I think he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I think Tim had listened to this or something, and I'd watched 10 minutes of this, 15 minutes of this, and Joe Rogan was like, I can't shuffle cards. And David Blaine goes, oh, it just takes practice, whatever. And he goes, I mean, you're so good at it. He goes, but there are people who I won't shuffle cards or do any cards with because they're so good at that thing. And I think that's similar to what you were saying, where it's to the novice like me, I look at that and I go, it's amazing. But I'm sure there's someone in your world that you would never show that to because you would just never want them to frown upon it, to look at that and throw shade at it. But to me, I look at it and I go, man, you should make that wallpaper. That looks great. So it's so interesting though that there's different levels of individuals that you would give attention to differently on your piece of work. For me, that might be Vince McMahon or something. I don't know who that would be for Tim. Maybe that Dean runner guy, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
But it is interesting. What was the quote, the metaphor that you were saying? What was that line?
Perspective matters, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're too close to an issue, you're too close to it, you're going to see a lot of imperfections. But kind of stepping back away helps you to see the bigger picture, I guess is the quote.
Got it.
Yeah.
That you may quote.
And I think that holds true from a meditation standpoint. It's one of the things that I've taken up, I guess, a couple of months ago, and just given myself 10 minutes to step back and take a view that's a little bit further away.
Well, I mean, think about
in an escape room, people get so granular about problems and they lose focus on the bigger picture. They lose focus of the goal, and they're not thinking critically because of that. So it happens all the time.
And I think so many times we listen to people from a business perspective that have no business experience whatsoever, and we allow that to negatively or positively affect us. And it's like, hey, this person has no idea what they're really saying. Maybe we should look at this a little bit deeper. And so I'm constantly analyzing, like, who is saying that, and should I even give them the time of day? Matt Cole says, Candice River. Is River your middle name?
Oh gosh, this is the free spirit presenting itself again.
Fake middle name. Okay.
Fake middle name.
So is it Creek or Crick?
You bring a girl to a river.
Is awesome. What do you think? Like, yeah, is it Creek or Crick?
Creek.
Okay, and why river and not creek?
Rivers. Rivers are pretty powerful
too with these questions, so come on.
Rivers are pretty powerful. Sometimes they mellow out, but for the most part, a river is not really going to dry out. It's going to take a lot for it to dry out. So maybe
favorite river in the 757? James
River. Next question.
Spirit animal.
Spirit animal. That's a good one.
Octopus.
Why?
They're very smart. They're good at figuring out problems, and they can camouflage themselves into different environments very well. So, chameleons of the ocean.
What are you watching on Netflix?
I was watching Umbrella Academy and finished that. Now I'm watching Love on the Spectrum. And also there's this British makeup challenge show. I don't even remember the name of it. Maybe Glow Up? Face Off? I don't know. But it's incredibly captivating television. There's so much to watch.
Is it a TV show? I guess
it's a show.
So what are those? What is a Netflix show now? Is it called a TV show? What are they called, do you think?
I think just a show. I don't know.
I think so.
Just a show, just a series, something like that.
Yeah, I'm watching this show. I'm watching the series. That's a good one. I feel like that's
if you're watching something on YouTube that is his own. So the David Blaine thing, that's a YouTube show? Just a show or a series?
Yeah.
It's not a TV show.
Well, yeah, YouTube has YouTube TV now, so you can have YouTube TV shows, but that's too much of a mouthful, so you might as well just call it a show.
Do you still have that, Tim?
Yeah.
So you're watching YouTube TV shows.
I sometimes watch YouTube TV shows. I watch Hot Ones.
The reason I ask this is just because if you think about the vernacular that we grew up on, where it was just TV show forever, and in the last 10 years have really changed that, so we still call it something.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though it really isn't that thing anymore. And oftentimes these people aren't even watching these shows. Like, are you watching this stuff on a computer, or are you watching on an actual television?
I have a projector screen hooked up to above my head, and then it just projects itself onto my wall.
So you're watching a projector series.
Yeah,
wow.
a projector series, exactly. So,
but it is interesting how that repetition is so incredibly ingrained into our bodies, into our minds for so long, where I don't know that we will actually ever stop calling it TV shows.
Yeah.
Records.
Well, what about television? When was the last time you heard the word television? Stop watching the television so much. Or, kids are not going to know what that even is.
Tim, do your kids watch TV?
No.
What about television? They watch television?
No, they don't. But they don't watch anything. And that's the funny thing is, even telephone. I mean, like if I looked at their analytics, well, they never ever use their iPhone for the purpose of a phone.
No.
Like they won't even won't even answer if someone calls.
No, we're all cyborgs. It's all.
I love talking on the phone. It's so much better than texting because you don't get. I love doing things like this, right? Because then context isn't lost, and I feel like a lot of society is lost in context. It's like you have a seven word statement. It's like, well, what's the real story behind that?
Yeah,
like,
or it's like when you eat with your eyes first. If you were to if you had to close your eyes every time you ate, it wouldn't be the same.
That's powerful. Matt says Candice's "What Is It" game show on Instagram had kept me alive during the pandemic.
So, along with the escape room game show, I had my own personal Instagram game show that I hosted first, just to test run it, and then we brought it into the mainstream on the escape room Instagram. So, escape room VA, if you want to play. But What Is It? Was the first iteration of this game show, and it's the only Instagram game show that you can play from home every Wednesday at 8 p.m. where we ask you, what is it?
Got it. Okay, so do you think it's wrong that I eat minimum 9 homemade burritos a week?
How many?
9.
Minimum.
Maybe not minimum. Not an average of 9 homemade burritos a week. That's my stat for COVID. Like I've had 9.
Concerned. I'm concerned.
So 9 of my 21 meals.
Yeah, that's bad. I love burritos. I'm in a relationship with Polon's Burritos on Facebook, so I love burritos 100%. But I don't want to know what your BMs look like at all. I think that would be. I don't know.
I didn't even tell you what was in my burrito. So is the burrito a sandwich?
What is it? No, I don't think it's a sandwich. No.
Is a burrito a wrap?
Sure.
A burrito's a burrito.
It's its own thing, though, I think.
So 9 is too many. Would 7 be too many?
I think 5. 5 is a good number.
Okay. Noted. Tim, how many do you think is appropriate?
Well, how many do you eat at a sitting? So, I mean, maybe if you had 3 days a week, but if you had 2, then 6, I don't think is crazy. But
Matt Cole says he's more of a taco guy. The reason I say this is, I end up eating the same. I end up eating the same thing over and over again, right? I'm a quick habit, so I end up eating the same meal over and over. You make the rice, you make more rice, you make extra beans. So you got
Candice. Candice is probably the type of person to order something different off of the menu every time she goes to the restaurant.
Oh my God.
So that's why you have a problem with my 9 homemade burritos a week. I understand.
Have old fights with relationships like coming up into my mind because I dated a guy who ate the same thing at the same places every single time. He was like, I like this. I know it. It's familiar.
See, that's me.
Tim, what's that bar on Granby Street that we went to with Jim Carroll that one time? Used to be, it's across the street from Jimmy John's. What's that place called?
Yeah, it's Brown's.
Jack Brown. So Candice, have you ever been to Jack Brown's?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how they have that list where you can drink every single one of their beers? And then, have you seen that?
I mean, you could do that anywhere. You could drink every single one of anyone's beers.
Yeah, but you can actually sign off, and I think they give you something if you do it.
Oh.
And they have hundreds of beers. So it made me think that you were the type of person that would do that.
I would pass away.
Not in one setting. Not in one setting.
Okay. Oh, okay. Not in one.
Like over
okay.
the year.
I can do that then. I think I could try that. I used to work at I used to work at a bar that had over 3,000 different kinds of bottled beer, bottled in
like a flying saucer type of place.
Yeah. It was in Florida. It was called Riverside Market. They converted an old 7-Eleven with the fridges on the walls, with the doors on them. Each door had different beers in it, and so it was based on the honor system. You would bring your bottle caps up to the cash register at the end of the night and pay for your beers that way.
Wow,
honor system. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I think there's a minimum or a maximum that you're allowed to get signed off on at Jack Brown's, where let's say 5 beers a night, something like that. Okay. And then I think maybe get like a T-shirt or your name on the wall or something like that. But I think it's a unique way to get people to change up what they do, to try something different, to come back in, right? So it's kind of like the punch card system, which I think is valuable. But it's just a unique way to try different things. Me, I wouldn't do that. That's exploring too many options, and there's a lot of weird beers out there.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are stacked. You know, the odds are that you might not like a good amount of those beers. It'd be a waste.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Matt Cole says that the Elvis Burger is great. Jack Brown's is great.
He's not wrong. Yeah, Matt Cole, smart man.
I don't remember what the Elvis Burger is. Is that the peanut butter and jelly one?
That's the peanut butter, and I think there's also bacon on it.
Yeah, usually there's bacon
Banana?
on it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. What's something that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
The importance of trying new things and challenging yourself is more important now than ever, I think. We're in strange times, and we're all forced to be kind of cocooned in our homes, and that can manifest itself in different ways. But I promise you that if you continue to try new things, you will get better at trying new things. And come to the escape room. It's probably a new thing for you. So.
And people can go to what website to book an appointment?
You can go to escaperoomvirginia.com to find the closest one near you. And even if it's not close near you, I'm sure it's worth it. So head on down.
Wonderful. Tim, any final words?
I was curious, what is the one place that you look forward to visiting more than any once we open things back up?
Oh man, just
other than the escape room.
Whatever dirty good bar I can find that it's crowded, full of loud people. I really miss that.
When do you think that will be socially accepted again?
Oh man. I don't want to say, 'cause I don't know. I don't want it to be too far away, but hopefully in 2021.
Oh, so you're at 5 months.
I think people are going to be hesitant. I mean, I'm not sure. In the beginning of this, we thought it was only going to be a couple of weeks, and now look at us. It's August. So
yeah, I was shocked the whole thing happened.
The lasting effects of this will take some time, and I think maybe reflecting onto pandemics of the past might help us out. But
yeah, I think we had talked about this a little bit last week, but it was even on last week's show where even if everyone in the world said everything's fine, you're going to be fine, this is over, whatever, it's still going to take a minimum of however long we've gone through this for that whole cycle to go through. So we're looking at 6 months minimum for people, for everyone to kind of even be okay. Of course, there's going to be early adopters and stuff like that, but to really get back to that kind of feeling of okayness, I think is gonna take a while. And hopefully sooner rather than later. And hopefully we get control of this thing. And I also hope that people start going to more escape rooms, specifically the one on what road is that? Bonnie Road.
Bonnie Road, right outside of the town center. It's a great time. Completely private, very exclusive, just strictly for your experience. Sanitized before and after. And,
tons of hand sanitizer, tons of TP. They figured it all out. Just go to escaperoomvirginia.com. It will blow your mind.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time today. This has been absolutely delightful and wonderful. And hopefully you figure out everything that you need to do with that relationship with that burrito.
Yeah, I think we have a meeting soon in about an hour. So
just don't have 9 of them a week and everything will be okay.
Thanks.
Until next time, y'all have a wonderful time. Peace and pancakes. See you guys next week.